The message came without a sound. Across Earth's satellites and colonies, every screen, every channel, every device flickered and went dark for a few seconds. Then a strange voice began to speak. Cold, distant, and layered, like several beings talking at once. The voice called itself the Galactic Council. It said it spoke for all the elder civilizations of the stars. And its message was simple. Humanity must stand down. You are forbidden from expanding beyond your solar system. At first, people thought it was a trick, maybe a hack transmission, a political stunt, or even a movie promotion. But when the skies above Mars turned blue with energy storms, and satellites around Titan stopped responding, the truth could no longer be ignored. Something or someone was watching Earth. Something powerful enough to reach across light years and stop human technology with a single command. In the great halls of Geneva, the world's leaders gathered. The room was heavy with silence as holograms of the alien messengers floated above the round table. Their faces were hidden under light, their shapes tall and thin, like shadows that had learned to speak. They warned Earth again, this time with greater authority. The Council declared that humanity's new faster-than-light drive, known as the Singularity Engine, was a violation of galactic law. The humans, they said, were still a developing species, not ready to wield such power. The president of Earth's unified nations stood tall, his face pale but firm. "We did not ask for your permission to dream," he said. The council replied coldly. "And you do not have our permission to survive should you continue." The holograms vanished, leaving behind only static and the quiet hum of tension that filled the room. Across the planet, fear began to spread. News channels showed images of alien fleets orbiting nearby systems. Massive structures shaped like spires of crystal and fire. Scientists tried to calculate the level of their technology and failed. They had energy readings higher than anything known to human science. Yet, in secret labs buried deep under mountain ranges, others were not afraid. They were excited. Commander Elias Stone, a veteran of Earth's orbital wars, watched the footage in silence. He had seen destruction before, but this was something different. He knew what fear could do to a world. "They're testing us," he said quietly to his team. "They want us to break ourselves before they even fire a shot." Stone's second-in-command, Captain Rhea Anders, frowned. "Then what do we do, sir? We can't fight gods." Stone looked out at the darkening sky. "We prepare," he said, "and we make them bleed like anything else that threatens home." The official response from Earth was cautious. The governments promised to review their deep space projects, but the work never truly stopped. Scientists continued their research in hidden facilities. Shipyards under the oceans built crafts never registered to any database. The colonies on Mars and Titan went silent, but not because they had shut down. They were going dark intentionally, cutting communication to hide what they were building. In the shadows, a secret project began to form, one that would change the fate of mankind forever. Its name was known only to a few, Project Eclipse. While Earth argued in public about peace and diplomacy, Project Eclipse worked in silence. Engineers, soldiers, and pilots disappeared from records. Families received letters saying their loved ones had been transferred to deep research, but no one could confirm where. Rumors spread among the military, whispers of ships that could vanish from sensors, of weapons that could turn light itself into armor. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council sent another message. This one was colder. "We see your lies. We see your hidden fires. Stop now or face the judgment of the stars." But humanity didn't stop. How could they? Every generation of humans had been told what they could not do, and every time they had done it anyway. From crossing oceans to walking on the moon, from touching Mars to reaching the edge of the solar system, defiance was in their blood. Commander Stone met with the heads of the secret project inside a dark hangar under the frozen ice of Antarctica. The room was filled with the hum of energy fields and the distant echo of machines. In the center stood a shape hidden under metallic sheets, massive, silent, and black as night. "She's almost ready," one of the engineers said. "We just need more time." Stone looked at the ship with quiet pride. "Time," he muttered, "is exactly what they don't want us to have." Back in orbit, Alien drones watched Earth's skies. Their sensors scanned every corner of the planet, searching for signs of forbidden activity. But something strange began happening. Their data returned blank. Static interference, ghost signals, readings that made no sense. One by one, the drones began to vanish. The Council grew restless. They sent warnings, then threats. But Earth sent nothing back. The silence from humanity was louder than any answer. It was not fear, it was defiance. A month passed. Then two. No human ships were seen beyond Mars. The Council began to believe their threats had worked. But deep within Earth's night, hundreds of human minds were working toward something the aliens could not imagine. One evening, in the control chamber of Project Eclipse, the lead scientist, Dr. Mara Keene, recorded a message. Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried exhaustion and fire. "If they are watching, let them watch," she said. "If they fear us, let them fear. Humanity has been warned to stand down, but we have never been good at standing still." The same night, strange energy readings were detected near Neptune's orbit. For a brief moment, the stars flickered. Then everything returned to normal. The Council dismissed it as a natural disturbance. But Commander Stone, watching from the observation deck of a classified station, smiled. "She's breathing," he whispered. By now, the people of Earth had grown divided. Some believed in peace, begging their leaders to obey the Council and avoid war. Others felt pride, believing humanity had the right to defend its destiny. No one knew who would make the final decision. Then came the final broadcast. It was short, only 6 words, but it silenced the planet. The Council's voice echoed once again through every screen and device. "You have ignored every order given." The message continued. "You have violated the great law of expansion. You are now declared a danger to the galaxy. You will be contained. Prepare yourselves." On that same night, across the sky, hundreds of streaks of light were seen moving in orbit. Alien ships positioning themselves. Cities watched in fear, thinking the end had come. Commander Stone stood on the balcony of the Antarctic station, watching the northern lights swirl across the frozen horizon. The stars above were sharp and cold. He turned to his officers and spoke in a voice that would echo in history. "They warned us to stand down. They think we're afraid. They think we'll kneel. But they've forgotten what it means to be human." The wind howled across the ice as silence filled the base. Somewhere deep underground, the engines of Project Eclipse pulsed once. A deep, thunderous vibration that rolled through the earth like a heartbeat. Stone looked toward the stars, his eyes calm. "We've already gone too far to stop now." And far above, hidden beyond Neptune's shadow, something enormous began to move. Slow, silent, and darker than space itself. Space was silent, too silent. Beyond Neptune's frozen orbit, a strange emptiness spread, like a shadow growing larger every day. The alien scanners picked up nothing but static. The Council's observers thought Earth had gone quiet, but they were wrong. Humanity hadn't stopped. Humanity was hiding. Commander Elias Stone stood in a dimly lit control room inside Outpost Seraph, a secret human station buried within the icy fragments of the Kuiper Belt. The station's windows were small, but through them, the stars looked cold and endless. Engineers and officers moved quietly around him, their faces tired but determined. They were ghosts now, officially dead, erased from every Earth record. Only Project Eclipse knew they existed. "Status on the fleet?" Stone asked without looking up from the holographic display. Captain Rhea Anders, his second-in-command, stepped forward. "The first 5 ships are complete. Engines tested. Cloaking fields are stable." Stone nodded slowly. "And the others?" "Still under construction. We need more time. And more power." Time. That word again. It haunted everyone in the station. The Council's fleets were gathering near the edge of the solar system. Massive alien vessels, shaped like blades of glass, had taken position beyond Pluto. They called it a peacekeeping zone, but everyone knew what it really was: a blockade. Still, Project Eclipse continued. Hidden deep in space, Thousands of workers built ships that no alien had ever seen before. Each hull was black and smooth, made from a material that bent light around it. To any scanner, they looked like empty space. Only when the engines ignited could you see their outline, a faint ripple of darkness moving through the stars. These were the Eclipse-class warships, humanity's answer to the Council's control. They were silent, fast, and invisible. Their purpose was not conquest, but survival and revenge. Dr. Mara Keene stood beside Stone, watching the holographic projection of the fleet. She was the mind behind Project Eclipse, a scientist who had once believed in peace, now forced into war. Her hands trembled slightly as she spoke. "If they discover us before we're ready, it's over. You know that." Stone looked at her. "Then we make sure they don't." He turned to the communications officer. "Activate Ghost Net." The officer hesitated. "Sir, Ghost Net will cut us off completely from Earth. No messages in or out." "That's the point," Stone replied. "If the Council finds Earth's signal traces, they'll know where to look. We vanish now." Within moments, the station's connection to Earth went dark. The humans beyond Neptune were now completely isolated. No contact, no supply lines, no rescue. Only silence, cold machinery, and their will to survive. Weeks passed. The hidden shipyards worked non-stop. Massive engines hummed in the dark. Robots moved silently across the hulls of giant vessels, welding metal that shimmered like liquid night. Inside each ship, soldiers trained in zero gravity. They spoke little, but their eyes carried the same thought: we will not kneel. Meanwhile, back on Earth, rumors began to spread. Families whispered that their loved ones were missing. Strange cargo launches disappeared into deep space without official record. Governments denied everything, but some citizens didn't believe them. They spoke of a shadow fleet, an army that would one day return when the stars themselves turned against Earth. Far away, in the heart of the Galactic Council, alien strategists grew uneasy. Their probes around the Sol system had gone silent. Patrols near Jupiter and Saturn vanished without a trace. One commander reported seeing dark shapes moving between asteroids, but his message ended abruptly. Static and silence. The Council began to fear that humanity was plotting something. But they also believed humans were too young, too chaotic to be truly dangerous. They were wrong. Inside Outpost Seraph, Stone and his team ran simulations of possible attacks. The holographic display showed alien fleets, massive and shining, surrounding Earth. Every test ended in the same way: humanity's defeat. And yet, Stone didn't stop running them. "Why do you keep watching us lose?" Rhea finally asked one night. Stone smiled faintly. "Because one day, one of these simulations will show us how to win." At that moment, alarms suddenly flashed red across the control deck. The AI voice echoed. "Unidentified signal detected. Bearing 21 degrees, Sector 9. Everyone froze. Stone stepped forward. Visuals. The screen flickered. A small alien drone appeared on the edge of the sensor field. It was scanning debris, searching for something. "Sir," said the officer, "if it detects us." "Not if we move first," Stone interrupted. "Target the drone. Use the silent rail." The ship's hull vibrated gently as a magnetic coil charged. A moment later, a single tungsten slug left the cannon. Invisible, fast, deadly. The drone shattered instantly, its remains drifting quietly into the dark. No explosion, no signal, no trace. "Nothing ever happened," Stone said. "Clean up the data trail." The crew went back to work, but tension lingered in the air. They all knew what that drone meant. The Council was looking for them. The clock was ticking. Later, as the station lights dimmed for artificial night, Dr. Keene found Stone staring out the window again. "Do you think we can really win?" she asked softly. Stone didn't answer immediately. He watched the distant light of the sun, small and pale from so far away. Finally, he said, "Winning doesn't matter. Living free does." Back on Earth, the Council's final patience was wearing thin. Their fleets began to move closer. Whole constellations glittered with the reflection of their engines. News agencies called it the Sky War Scare. Some said peace was still possible. Others built shelters and waited for the worst. But the people who truly knew what was coming, the ones buried deep in black projects and off-world bases, they stayed silent. Because the truth was not for the public to know. Not yet. 3 months later, the first Eclipse fleet went fully operational. 5 massive ships, each the size of a city, floated silently in the darkness beyond Neptune. Their engines glowed faintly, a deep blue light that seemed to swallow the stars. The fleet had no name, no flag, and no recorded existence. It was a ghost force, humanity's shadow. Commander Stone stood on the bridge of the flagship, Eclipse Prime. The crew around him moved in silence, checking controls and monitoring life support. "Send the test pulse," he ordered. A low hum filled the bridge. Outside, the stars rippled. For a moment, reality itself seemed to bend. Then everything went still. Captain Rhea looked up. Cloak field stable. Energy signature 0. Stone smiled slightly. "Good. That means we're invisible." In the following days, small signals began to appear in alien channels. Unexplained power losses, missing scouts, sensor distortions. No one knew where they came from. The Council dismissed them as technical failures. But a few commanders whispered the same phrase. The dark is moving, and in the endless void beyond Neptune, 5 human ships drifted silently, waiting for orders. Their engines cold, their weapons armed. Humanity had not stood down. Humanity was preparing. The stars above the galactic core shimmered with golden light as the Council gathered once again in their grand chamber. The room was a vast sphere of glass and metal, filled with the glow of distant suns. Around a floating table sat beings older than human civilization itself, rulers of ancient empires, their eyes like molten fire and their voices echoing like storms. At the center hovered a holographic image of Earth, small and blue, spinning slowly in silence. To the Council, it was not a home world, it was a threat. The High Speaker, a tall creature made of light and silver mist, raised its arm. The humans have ignored every order. Their colonies remain active. Our probes vanish near their outer worlds. They are building something hidden. Whispers filled the chamber. Some demanded punishment. Others urged patience. But most agreed on one thing: humanity had gone too far. A deep voice rumbled through the air. It came from Lord Zarin of the Threx Dominion, whose ships had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. They are young, foolish, and violent. If we do not crush them now, they will rise like fire and consume everything. Another voice, softer but colder, replied, "Then we shall give them one last chance. One final command." The Council voted. The decision was clear. Humanity would be summoned to stand before them, to explain their defiance or face extinction. On Earth, the message arrived 3 days later. Every communication satellite flickered, and a blue light filled the skies above the capital. A voice spoke through every device, deep and commanding. "Representatives of humanity, appear before the Galactic Council. You will answer for your crimes against the stars." The world held its breath. In a great transport ship made of shining silver, 3 human delegates were taken from Earth and carried across light years to the heart of the galaxy. Among them was Dr. Mara Keen, scientist and creator of Project Eclipse. She had insisted on going, though Commander Stone had warned her. "You know what they'll do," he told her before she left. "They don't want peace. They want control." Mara had smiled sadly. "Then let them hear our voice one last time." The Council's chamber was enormous, bigger than any structure built by human hands. Dr. Keen and the other delegates walked onto the circular platform surrounded by towering alien figures. Every eye turned toward them. The High Speaker's voice filled the hall. "You were warned to stop your expansion. Yet your people continue to build ships and weapons. Why?" Dr. Keen looked up at the glowing figure, her heartbeat steady. "Because we must survive." "Survive?" the speaker repeated, its tone cold. "You threaten peace. You disturb the balance. You bring chaos wherever you go." Mara took a deep breath. "You call it chaos. We call it freedom." A ripple of anger spread through the Council. Several alien lords hissed, their voices sharp as blades. Lord Zarin rose from his seat, eyes burning like molten iron. You dare speak of freedom while violating the great law? You build engines that warp space itself. You are not ready for such power. Mara stepped forward. If we are not ready, why fear us? Why send fleets to our borders? Why try to chain us before we can walk? The room went silent. No one had ever spoken to the council like that. Not in centuries. Finally, the High Speaker's light dimmed slightly. You misunderstand. We do not fear you. We fear what you will become. Every world that rises to challenge the council ends the same way, in fire. We are giving you mercy, not punishment. Mara's voice trembled with emotion. Mercy is not yours to give. A heavy silence fell. For a moment, the chamber seemed frozen in time. Then, without another word, the council's guards approached. The decision had been made. You will return to your planet, said the High Speaker. You have 1 solar cycle, 1 year, to dismantle your weapons, your ships, and your research. Fail to obey, and Earth will be cleansed. That is our final decree. When Dr. Keene returned to Earth, she looked different. Her eyes were colder, harder. The council's warning had not frightened her. It had broken something inside her, and what replaced it was resolve. Commander Stone met her at the landing site. The air was heavy with tension, the night sky painted with streaks of aurora light. Well? He asked quietly. They've given us 1 year, she said. Stone frowned. Then we don't have much time. She nodded. We finished the fleet. All of it. In the months that followed, humanity moved like a storm beneath the surface. While the council spies watched from orbit, human activity appeared calm. Factories slowed down, launch signals disappeared, research centers went quiet. But underground and in the void of deep space, Project Eclipse worked faster than ever. The hidden shipyards near Neptune glowed with life. Each day, more ships left the assembly docks. Silent, dark, ready for war. Every man and woman working there knew what was at stake. There would be no surrender. If the council came, humanity would fight even if it meant the end. Back at the council's world, the alien leaders began preparing too. Fleets of crystal warships assembled across the core systems. Giant siege engines were awakened from ancient vaults. The galaxy itself seemed to be holding its breath. 6 months passed. Then one night, a council scout ship appeared near the orbit of Mars. It sent a warning signal. Prepare to receive inspection forces. Your deadline approaches. But no response came. The ship waited. Hours passed. Then its scanners detected faint distortions in the dark. Something large moved behind Neptune's shadow. The alien captain leaned forward, confused. What is that? He whispered. Suddenly, every sensor on his ship went blind. Static filled the screens. A cold blue light flashed once outside the window, and then the ship was gone. The council received its last transmission 2 hours later. A voice broken by static, whispering, "The dark, it's moving." On Earth, Dr. Keene listened to the intercepted message. Around her, the command center buzzed with quiet urgency. She looked at Commander Stone. "They're getting close," she said. Stone nodded. "Then it's time." He opened a secured channel, one that reached beyond the solar system, deep into the void where the human fleet waited. His voice was calm, steady. "Activate Phase 1. Keep the engines cold. Maintain silence until further orders." The operator hesitated. "What should we call it, sir?" Stone looked out the window at the black horizon. Operation Eclipse. Far beyond Neptune, the shadow fleet stirred. Massive warships, black as the void, began to power up their engines. A faint blue glow rippled across their surfaces. They did not move yet, not fully, but the stars around them seemed to dim, as if space itself was afraid. Humanity had been warned. Humanity had been judged. But humanity would not kneel. And somewhere, deep in the endless dark, a whisper passed through the comms. Quiet, cold, and certain. "When they come for us, we'll be ready." For months, the galaxy had waited. The Council's fleets had gathered along the borders of human space, their engines glowing like stars in formation. From a distance, they looked beautiful, but every world that saw them knew what they meant. War. The deadline was over. Humanity had not surrendered. The Council's patience had ended. On Earth, skies were calm. Cities glowed with night lights. Oceans whispered against quiet shores. The people went to work, pretending life was normal. But deep beneath the planet's surface, in hidden command centers and silent bunkers, the truth was known. Humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was ready. Commander Elias Stone stood inside the war room of Eclipse Command, buried under the ice of Antarctica. Around him, holograms showed the movement of alien fleets, massive, bright, and endless. "They're moving into position," Captain Rhea Anders said. "First wave will hit Mars within the hour." Stone's jaw tightened. "Then the time has come." He looked toward Dr. Mara Keen, standing beside the main control table. Her eyes reflected the soft blue glow of the holographic stars. "Are you sure the cloak field will hold?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "It will, as long as we stay in the dark." Stone gave a single order: "Send the signal." The communication officer hesitated only for a heartbeat before pressing the key. A coded pulse, invisible to any alien sensor, raced through space faster than light. Far beyond Neptune, in the shadow of the outer rim, Project Eclipse came alive. For a long moment the void was still. Then, one by one, enormous shadows began to stir. The darkness moved, slow and silent, like deep ocean creatures rising from the depths. The human fleet, hundreds of ships, black and vast, powered up their engines. Blue light shimmered along their hulls, tracing symbols of Earth's unity. 3 silver lines crossing a circle of blue. These were no ordinary vessels. They were forged from experimental alloys, invisible to most sensors, built not for defense but for shock and fear. Each one was a floating fortress, armed with weapons that bent gravity and tore through light. As the first engines ignited, the stars around them dimmed, swallowed by their shadow. Captain Rhea's voice echoed through the Eclipse command station. "Fleet reports all systems active. Cloak stable. Awaiting orders." Stone stared at the display. "They wanted to see our power," he said quietly. "Let them." He turned toward the operator. Phase 2, reveal the fleet. In the cold of space, near the orbit of Saturn, a group of alien scouts were patrolling when their sensors caught an impossible reading. "Energy spike detected," one shouted. "Sector 19. Massive. Wait. Multiple sources." Before he could finish, the stars around them flickered, then vanished completely. The void turned pitch black. Every alien pilot froze. Their screens filled with interference, and an eerie silence fell over comms. Then, slowly, shapes began to appear, hundreds of massive silhouettes, darker than night itself, emerging from behind the shadow of Neptune. One of the alien captains whispered in disbelief, What are those?" A voice crackled through their open channel, cold, human, and clear. "You wanted us to stand down. Instead, look up." At that moment, the sky turned black. The human fleet advanced. From Mars to Jupiter, every sensor lit up in alarm. Alien fleets scrambled into defensive formations, but they were too slow. The humans were everywhere, hundreds of ships moving in perfect silence, engines hidden by stealth fields, striking from every angle. On Mars, the colonists looked up at the red sky. It darkened, as if night had fallen suddenly. Above the horizon, the silhouettes of massive ships appeared, their hulls blotting out the sun. Children ran to windows, pointing in awe. Adults stared in silence, their hearts caught between fear and pride. "They came back," one old miner whispered. "Earth didn't forget us." In the Council's central command, panic erupted. Dozens of species shouted across the chamber. "Their fleet impossible. We scanned that system 100 times. They have cloaked technology beyond our sensors. They're advancing, straight toward the front line." The high speaker raised its voice, trying to calm the chaos. "Mobilize every ship. Do not let them reach the inner rim." But the order came too late. The first human strike began near the orbit of Mars. Dozens of Eclipse-class ships emerged from the shadows, weapons glowing with cold blue fire. Plasma cannons roared silently in the void, their beams slicing through alien cruisers like light through glass. Explosions filled space with blinding color. The aliens fought back fiercely, their ships elegant and deadly, firing golden energy bolts that tore through the dark. But humanity's ships moved unpredictably, faster and more erratic than any alien design. They fought like humans, reckless, clever, unstoppable. Commander Stone's voice echoed across the fleet. They think we're children playing with stars. Show them what grown humanity looks like. Back on Earth, people watched the battle unfold through intercepted feeds. Every screen showed fragments of light and chaos. No one knew exactly what was happening, only that humanity had struck back, and struck hard. All across the planet, fear turned to pride. For the first time in history, every human heart beat together. Nations forgotten, borders meaningless. There was only one name that mattered now: humanity. As the battle raged on, one alien admiral sent a desperate message to the council. His face was pale and trembling. "They don't answer our calls," he said. "They fight without speaking, without warning. They do not surrender. They do not flee. Their ships are like shadows." The transmission cut off as a dark shape loomed behind his vessel, the flagship Eclipse Prime. Commander Stone appeared on his own bridge, calm amid the chaos. "Target their flagship," he ordered. Rhea glanced at him. "Sir, they're retreating." "I know," Stone said quietly. "But they need to remember." The Eclipse Prime's main weapon charged, a deep, thunderous hum shaking the hull. Then a beam of blue-white light tore across the void, striking the alien command ship dead center. The explosion lit up the system like a new star. The alien fleet broke. The Council's proud armada, the symbol of their eternal power, fell into confusion and panic. For 3 hours, the battle continued. Then, as suddenly as it began, the human fleet stopped. Every ship turned in unison, their engines dimming again to black. "Why are we stopping?" Rhea asked. Stone looked at the holographic map of wreckage and fire. "Because we've said enough." He opened a wideband transmission. His voice went across the stars, calm and final. "We warned you to let us be." When the message reached the Council worlds, silence filled the great chamber. The warlords who once spoke of crushing humanity said nothing now. They watched the recordings, endless darkness, then sudden fire, then nothing. No one had seen a fleet like that in centuries. No one had ever faced an enemy who could hide in plain sight. For the first time, the Council felt something they hadn't in 1,000 years: fear. Far from the battlefield, the human fleet drifted silently again, fading into the void beyond Neptune. Their engines cooled, their lights dimmed. They had not conquered. They had not demanded surrender. They had simply shown the galaxy what happens when humanity is cornered. In the command bridge, Commander Stone looked out at the stars. "They'll call us monsters," he said. Dr. Keene stood beside him, her voice calm. "Let them. Monsters survive." Stone smiled faintly, eyes fixed on the fading light of Mars. "And when they come again," he whispered, "the sky will turn black once more." The silence after the first great battle was not peace. It was the breath before the next storm. Across the void, the wreckage of alien ships drifted like broken stars, glowing faintly in the darkness. The human fleet moved through them quietly, engines low, weapons cooling, their shadows blending once again with the black of space. Humanity had spoken once, but the galaxy had not yet understood the meaning of that voice. Commander Elias Stone stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Prime, his eyes fixed on the fading remains of the battle. The screens showed thousands of destroyed ships, but reports kept coming in. More fleets were on their way. The Council would not accept defeat. They would gather everything they had, every ship, every weapon, every world, to erase the one species that dared to defy them. Captain Rhea Anders walked up beside him, her voice calm but heavy. "The Council's reinforcements are moving through the outer rim. 3 fleets, maybe 4. They'll reach us in 2 days. Stone nodded slowly. Good. Then we have 2 days to remind them who they're fighting. Dr. Mara Keene entered the bridge, holding a small data tablet. Project Fire of Earth is ready, she said quietly. We can activate it any time. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Fire of Earth, a last resort weapon, created in secret years ago, deep beneath the oceans of Earth. It was not a bomb or a missile. It was something far older, far greater, a system designed to awaken the planet itself. Stone turned to her. You're sure it will work? It will, she replied. But once it starts, there's no turning back. He looked out at the stars again. There never was. While the Council fleets rushed toward the solar system, the news of humanity's victory spread like wildfire. On distant colonies, enslaved species whispered the same word in secret: humans. In the dark alleys of alien worlds, rebels raised their heads for the first time in generations. They spoke of Earth, of the species that had defied the Council and survived. Hope, something the galaxy had long forgotten, began to stir. But on the Council's home world, there was no hope, only rage. The High Speaker stood before the gathered warlords, its voice echoing through the great chamber. Humanity has humiliated us, it roared. They have broken our fleets, destroyed our pride. Now we will show them what it means to defy the Council. Armadas formed, thousands of ships moving as one. The largest force ever assembled in galactic history was on its way to Earth. They would not stop this time. They would burn the planet until nothing was left. 2 days later, the skies above Earth began to change. The first alien ships entered orbit, forming rings of metal that glowed red with power. From the surface, they looked like strange new constellations, bright and cruel. In the streets of every human city, alarms echoed. Families ran for shelters, children clutched their parents, and the world held its breath. Soldiers gathered in bunkers, pilots climbed into their fighters, and the sky darkened again. But this time, not with clouds. Commander Stone's voice came through every military channel. They are here, he said calmly. And so are we. The human fleet rose from behind the moon like shadows returning to the battlefield. Hundreds of ships moved in silence, their black hulls absorbing the starlight. From Earth's surface, people looked up and saw them, a curtain of darkness rising to meet the invaders. The war began again. The first strikes came fast. Alien energy weapons sliced through space, tearing apart asteroids and satellites. Earth's defenses flared to life. Missile platforms, railguns, orbital cannons, all firing upward in brilliant arcs. The night sky turned into a storm of light. The human fleet met the enemy head-on. Massive ships collided, lasers and plasma tearing through hulls, explosions lighting up the void like lightning in a storm. Ria's voice filled the Eclipse Prime's bridge. We're losing the outer defense ring. Pull them back, Stone ordered. Form the line at Earth's orbit. The screens shook as another explosion rippled through the fleet. We can't hold them forever, one officer shouted. Stone's voice was steady. We don't need forever. He turned toward Dr. Keene. Activate the Fire of Earth. Far below the surface, deep within the Pacific Ocean, enormous machines began to move. Ancient reactors awakened, glowing blue in the dark. Cables as thick as mountains pulsed with power. The Earth itself began to hum. In orbit, alien sensors went wild. Readings spiked beyond their understanding. Energy surged from the planet's core, one shouted. Unstable gravitational field. They didn't understand what they were seeing, until it was too late. Massive columns of light shot out from the oceans, piercing the clouds, reaching into space. The beams connected, forming a shimmering barrier around the planet, a living shield. Alien weapons struck it and dissolved into sparks. The barrier expanded, pushing back the invaders, bending their ships out of orbit. On the ground, people watched in awe as the sky turned bright blue, then gold, then white. It looked like Earth itself was waking up, protecting its children. On the Eclipse Prime, Dr. Keene whispered, "It's working." Stone nodded. Then we hold the line. Human ships moved forward again, their weapons glowing brighter, their formation tighter. The aliens fought back, desperate and furious, but every time they advanced, the human fleet pushed them farther away from Earth. The battle lasted for hours. Dozens of ships were lost, hundreds damaged, but the line held. Humanity did not break. When the alien admiral finally realized his fleet was collapsing, he gave the retreat order. But the void had already changed. The humans had turned their planet into a fortress, a living, breathing weapon. When the last alien ship fled into the darkness, the human fleet did not chase. They simply floated in silence, watching the stars return. Commander Stone looked at the burning wrecks drifting past his window. "It's over," Rhea said softly. He shook his head. "No, it's just the beginning." Dr. Keene turned toward him. "What will they do now?" "They'll hide, they'll rebuild, and they'll try again," Stone said. "But next time, they'll remember what waits for them on this little blue world." He looked down at Earth, shining behind its golden barrier, alive and fierce. "They warned us to stand down," he whispered. "Now they know what happens when humanity stands up." Far across the galaxy, news of the battle spread again. Some called it a miracle, others called it madness. But in every dark corner of every world, the message was the same: humanity had survived. Humanity had fought back. Humanity had burned brighter than the stars themselves. And in that moment, the galaxy realized something terrifying. The humans were not the weakest race. They were simply the ones who had nothing left to lose. The fire of Earth burned in the memory of every world, a warning carved into the stars, a promise that if the galaxy ever came for them again, the sky would turn black once more. The war was over, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than the battle itself. The stars seemed quieter now, as if the entire galaxy was holding its breath. The Council's fleets were gone, shattered, scattered, and broken. But everyone knew this peace would not last forever. Something had changed. Humanity had shown its strength, and that strength had frightened every corner of known space. Commander Elias Stone stood alone on the bridge of the Eclipse Prime, staring out at Earth. The planet glowed faintly beneath the golden shield, its oceans calm again, its cities returning to life. For the first time in months, there were no explosions, no alarms, no reports of enemy fleets. Just silence. But Stone's eyes were not peaceful. They were sharp and distant, like a man still listening for thunder after the storm. Rhea Anders entered quietly, holding a data pad. "All enemy ships have retreated beyond the solar rim," she said. "We've confirmed their jump traces. They're not coming back. Not yet." Stone didn't look away from the planet. "Not yet," he repeated softly. "They'll rebuild. They always do." Rhea hesitated, then asked, "And us? What happens to us now?" He finally turned to her. "Now we prepare, because the galaxy will never see us the same way again." Across the stars, the stories of the battle spread faster than light. In markets and military halls, on prison worlds and forgotten colonies, the whispers grew into legend. They spoke of a world called Earth, a world that defied the Council's command, stood alone against 1,000 fleets, and lived. Many called humanity dangerous. Others called them saviors. And in the shadows, races long oppressed by the Council began to dream of freedom. Rebellion sparked quietly in the dark corners of space, all born from the same thought: if the humans could fight, maybe they could too. On the Council's home world, the High Chamber sat in silence. The warlords who had once shouted for humanity's destruction now looked at one another with unease. The High Speaker, its voice trembling with controlled anger, said, "We underestimated them. We thought they were children, but they are something else. Something that remembers pain." An older counselor spoke softly. "Then we must decide. Do we destroy them now or learn from them?" The chamber fell silent again. No one answered. Every one of them had seen the recordings. The Black Fleet emerging from shadow, the light from Earth's core rising like fire, and the Council's proud armadas dying one after another. They knew the truth. Humanity could not be destroyed without destroying everything around it. Back on Earth, the people began to rebuild. Cities were repaired, communication restored, and for the first time in generations, the nations of Earth worked together without politics or borders. Flags were lowered. New ones were raised, the emblem of the United Earth Command. Humanity had become one people united by survival. In the rebuilt command bunker beneath Antarctica, Dr. Mara Keen worked quietly, monitoring the remnants of the Fire of Earth system. The golden barrier had faded, leaving behind a faint shimmer in the sky. It would take years to recharge if it could ever be used again. Stone joined her, watching the screens. "You've done something no one else ever dared to try," he said. She smiled faintly. "I didn't do it for glory. I did it so our children would have a future." He nodded. "You gave them that, but the galaxy will come for us again. They always come for what they fear." "Then let them come," she said. "Earth is awake now." Far beyond Neptune, the human fleet still waited, silent, hidden, ready. The Eclipse Prime led the formation, surrounded by hundreds of ships. Their hulls were being repaired, refitted, strengthened. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. It was preparing for the future. Stone stood on the observation deck, staring at the endless dark. "We were the hunted," he murmured. "Now we watch the hunters run." Rhea joined him, her eyes reflecting the faint blue glow of the engines. "They'll call us monsters," she said quietly. Stone smiled. "Good. Monsters don't get hunted. They get respected." They both watched as the fleet began its slow turn toward deep space. "Where to next?" she asked. He answered, "Everywhere." Months later, on a distant alien world, a young soldier stood outside a council recruitment center. He looked up at the sky, remembering the stories of the black ships, the fire from Earth, and the voice that echoed across the stars. "You wanted us to stand down. Instead, look up." He turned away from the recruitment line. He no longer believed the council's lies. Across the galaxy, millions like him made the same choice. Quietly, the old order began to crumble. And somewhere beyond the rim of known space, humanity watched, unseen, unheard, shaping the next age of the galaxy. In time, new civilizations would rise. New wars would come. But the story of Earth would never be forgotten. Children of 100 worlds would grow up hearing the same tale whispered at night, the tale of the world that refused to kneel. They would speak of how the council gave orders, and humanity ignored them. Of how the sky turned black with human warships. Of how the fire of Earth burned brighter than the stars. And they would remember the final lesson carved into the void by Commander Elias Stone and his people. If you threaten humanity, if you corner them, if you try to break them, then you will see the sky turn black once more. And when that happens, the galaxy will remember why it learned to fear the name of Earth.